Welcome to the debut episode of Mighty Morphin Madness, where me, your host Zach Brown, talks about everybody's favorite teenagers with attitude, the Power Rangers.
Ay, what do we do?
Teleport to us 5 overbearing and over-emotional humans.
No, not that, not teenagers.
That's correct, Alpha.
I was afraid of that.
The original Mighty Morphin Power Rangers TV series debuted on Fox Kids on August 28th in 1993. It then became a huge pop culture sensation in the 90s, with its huge line of action figures and other items, including mac and cheese and spaghetti.
Hey kids, now you can grab the power with the Mighty Morphin Power Ranger food. Great tasting food just for you. First, there's the tasty and terrific mac and cheese dinner. Next, 2 more phenomenal canned power pasta products. Spaghetti rings in tomato and cheese sauce, or spaghetti with meatballs and tomato sauce.
The original series follows 5 teenagers from Angel High in the fictitious city of Angel Grove, California, getting called upon by Zordon after his arch nemesis Rita Repulsa escapes a space dumpster on the moon, where she and her minions were trapped in for 10,000 years. Throughout the series, we see the Rangers continually fight Rita's monsters and foil her plans to take over Earth time and time again. Some of my favorite monsters the Rangers had to face were Eye Guy, a monster with a bunch of eyes who could absorb knowledge from children, and my top favorite, Pudgy Pig, a pig that ate everything, including the Rangers' weapons. They eventually defeated him by feeding him a spicy sandwich, and in return, he pretty much threw up their weapons. Good TV.
Okay, Trini, send down the hot stuff.
1 red hot radish coming up. Hey, Pig, you hungry? Catch.
All the footage of the Rangers and their suits were actually used footage from Japan's equivalent to the Power Rangers, Super Sentai. When Power Rangers debuted in the United States, Super Sentai was already in their 16th season. Overall, Power Rangers has spanned 24 years, and in that time has released 3 feature films, including the new Power Rangers movie released earlier this year, and they are currently on season 27 of the TV series, with Power Rangers Ninja Steel currently airing on Nickelodeon. This has been Zach Brown with Mighty Morphin Madness. Now back to Nerd Central. Welcome to another episode of Mighty Morphin Madness, with me, your host, Zach Brown, where we talk about everybody's favorite teenagers with attitude, the Power Rangers.
Ay, what do we do?
Teleport to us 5 overbearing and over-emotional humans.
No, not that, not teenagers.
That's correct, Alpha.
I was afraid of that.
In this episode, I'm going to be talking about one of my favorite Power Ranger series, Power Rangers in Space. Power Rangers in Space debuted on Fox Kids on February 6th in 1998. This series was the 6th season and was originally written to be the last season, but with its success, the Power Rangers series continued. This series begins as Zordon being kidnapped by Dark Spectre, the Grand Monarch of Evil. We see the 4 remaining Power Rangers from their previous series, Power Rangers Turbo and Alpha 6, go into space to try to find him.
We have ignition. We have windows.
While in space, they run into the Red Space Ranger Andros, as he is trying to rescue Zordon as well. The 4 remaining Rangers become the new Space Rangers along with Andros.
Let's rock.
The season's villain is the one and only Princess of Evil, Astronema. She is one of the most popular villains in all of the seasons for many reasons, including the fact that she actually is Andros' long-lost sister, who was kidnapped at a young age by Evil. Andros throughout the series is trying to find her and ends up doing so, but when Astronema finds out, Dark Spectre brainwashes her and she becomes more evil than ever. The season concludes when Zordon is found, but we see him tell Andros to shatter his energy tube and actually kill him because his good energy will destroy all evil in the galaxy. This is by far one of the saddest moments in all Power Rangers seasons up to this point. This season had a few good cameos, including the second Mighty Morphin Black Ranger Adam, and those weird episodes with the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
You want Rangers? You gotta go through turtles.
Mutants!
Well, at least you got that right. It's time for some shell shock.
What are those things? I can't believe it, but I think they're...
It's the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Overall, this season of the Power Rangers was the first of the series to have a much darker tone throughout the season, because of the mature subject matter of multiple kidnappings, near character deaths, and of course the death of Nerd's favorite floating head, Zordon. This season will be forever one of my favorites because of how the story was put together and the plot of the hero and the villain being brother and sister, which was very interesting. This has been Mighty Morphin Madness with Zach Brown. Now back to Nerd Central. Welcome to another episode of Mighty Morphin Madness with me, your host, Zach Brown, where we talk about everybody's favorite teenagers with attitude, the Power Rangers.
Ay, 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 what do we do?
Teleport to us 5 overbearing and over-emotional humans.
No, not that, not teenagers.
That's correct, Alpha.
I was afraid of that.
In this episode, I'm going to be talking about one of my favorite Power Ranger series of all time, Power Rangers Lost Galaxy. Power Rangers Lost Galaxy first aired on Fox Kids on February 6th in 1999. This was the 7th season, and this was the first season to start the trend of new characters and Rangers in each new season. The series follows 4 young adults leaving Angel Grove, California for the space colony Terra Venture to find another planet like Earth. While on the jungle planet of Miranoi, the eventual Yellow Ranger, who is native to the planet, leads the humans to the Quasar Sabers that are in stone. The 5 main characters pull the swords out and become the chosen Galaxy Rangers. The original Red Ranger, Mike, ends up falling into a huge pit and is thought to be dead, but ends up passing the Quasar Saber to his younger brother Leo, who then becomes the main Red Ranger of the series.
You can do it! I've always been so proud of you, Leo. I always will be.
This season also did something that no other season has done, and that was a death of a Power Ranger. The Pink Ranger Kendra sacrificed her life in order to save the space colony from the evil psycho Pink Ranger. The producers had to write her out of the story because the actress Valerie Vernon got diagnosed with leukemia and had to leave the show to start treatment. After a brief battle for the abandoned Quasar Saber, the former villain Astronema and also the sister of the Red Space Ranger Andros from the previous season Power Rangers in Space, Corone takes up the Pink Galaxy Rangers' powers and joins the other Rangers for the remainder of the series. The season concludes when the Rangers defeat evil and return the Quasar Sabers back into the stone, thus restoring the galaxy back from all the damage that evil did to it, and bringing back the original Pink Galaxy Ranger, Kendrick, back to life.
Look.
This season followed the previous season of In Space with the same darker tone and more mature themes than any of the seasons before these two. Overall, Power Rangers Lost Galaxy will be forever in my top favorite seasons because I watched this season when I was a kid, and who doesn't love nostalgia? This has been another episode of Mighty Morphin Madness. Now back to Nerd Central. Welcome to the Mighty Morphin Madness Halloween Special Spectacular with me, your host, Zach Brown, where we get to talk about everybody's favorite spooky teenagers of attitude, the Power Rangers.
Ay, what do we do?
Teleport to us 5 overbearing and over-emotional humans.
No, not that, not teenagers.
That's correct, Alpha.
I was afraid of that.
This special will talk about some of the episodes the Power Rangers did for Halloween. The first Halloween episode the Power Rangers did was during the first season of the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers in 1993. The episode, entitled Life's a Masquerade, shows the Rangers going to the costume party at Ernie's Juice Bar. Rita creates a Frankenstein monster to crash the party.
Now that is a costume.
This episode to me was kind of interesting. In the history of Power Rangers, most of the monsters that were created for the show were very creative. But this monster was very uncreative, and for the Power Rangers, it wasn't their best effort. My favorite Halloween episode they did was in the 4th Power Rangers season, named Power Ranger Zeo. In this episode, it came from Angel Grove. The Green Ranger Adam is studying for a test, and finds himself in a world where his best friends and Rangers are classic horror villains, including Dracula, Frankenstein's Bride, and the Mummy. He eventually wakes up and finds it to be only a dream.
I won't let you.
Adam, wake up.
You were dreaming, yet?
This episode was first released on VHS before it actually aired on TV, as a way to get more sales during the holiday. This is my favorite because this particular episode took many cool elements from horror and fantasy films and put it into a fun little episode. Also, this was the first episode I ever saw from Power Rangers Zeo, and later in life, this season became one of my personal favorites. It took the Power Rangers franchise a full 15 years until they did another Halloween special with the episode Party Monsters during the Power Rangers Samurai season. They since have done a Halloween episode in each new season since Power Rangers Samurai, which aired in 2011. This has been Zach Brown with the Mighty Morphin Madness Halloween Special Spectacular. Now back to Nerd Central. Welcome to another episode of Mighty Morphin Madness with me, your host, Zach Brown, where we get to talk about everybody's favorite teenagers with attitude, the Power Rangers.
Ay, what do we do?
Teleport to us 5 overbearing and over-emotional humans.
No, not that, not teenagers.
That's correct, Alpha.
I was afraid of that.
In this episode, I'm going to be talking about one of my favorite Power Ranger series, and that is Power Rangers Zeo. We see the Mighty Morphin Ranger powers get destroyed, and they are sent on a quest by Zordon to find the powerful Zeo crystals that hold special powers. The Zeo crystals allow the teenagers to morph into the powerful Zeo Rangers and continue to fight evil.
Rangers, the power of the Zeo Crystal now resides within you. How do you feel?
This season's villains were the powerful Machine Empire that had come to Earth to take over and include Earth under their regime. The Empire was led by King Mondo and his heir to the throne, Prince Sprocket, who tries to impress his father and beat the Rangers time and time again with their creations. Instead of Rocky becoming the Red Ranger like he was during the last season, fan favorite Tommy, the former Green, then White Ranger, took their Red Ranger's powers and Rocky became the Blue Ranger, replacing Billy. The original Blue Ranger Billy could not become a Power Ranger because of the events of the last season of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, but stuck around to help Alpha 5 create new weapons and keep the Rangers up to date on attacks to Angel Grove.
That having me here may be more important than me being a Power Ranger.
What are you saying?
What I'm trying to say is that I think that it's time to pass the power on to someone else.
This series wasn't a huge success and the ratings were steadily declining, but in order to try to save the ratings, Ham Sabin brought back the original Red Ranger, Austin St. John, as the new Gold Ranger.
Morphin time! Gold Ranger power!
I really liked this series because it was the first time we really got to see all new powers, weapons, and Zords, since the original Power Rangers got to keep the same powers for over 140 episodes. And also we got to see fan favorite characters continuing their roles of being Power Rangers. This season also was the first season to start the trend of new powers and eventual new characters in each new season. For Mighty Morphin Madness, this has been Zach Brown. Now back to Nerd Central. Welcome to the Mighty Morphin Madness Justice League special with me, your host, Zach Brown, where we get to talk about everybody's favorite teenagers with attitude, the Power Rangers.
What do we do?
Teleport to us 5 overbearing and over-emotional humans.
No, not that, not teenagers.
That's correct, Alpha.
I was afraid of that.
In this special episode, I get to talk about the special comic book crossover with the DC Universe and the greatest team of teenage superheroes, the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. Justice League Power Rangers issue number 1 was released in March of 2017 by Boom Studios and is a 6-part miniseries. The first issue starts in the Power Rangers universe and in the Power Rangers home city of Angel Grove. We first see that Alpha 5 is missing and the Power Rangers go and try to find him. Zack, the Black Ranger, finds Alpha in the woods and brings him back to the command center for only Alpha 5 to be an imposter and is a bomb that damages the command center. We see Lord Zedd and the Putties breach the command center and try to destroy Zordon for good. Zack tries to fight Zedd off and ends up trying to teleport himself and Zedd somewhere else to fight, but the teleporters are damaged by the explosion, and Zack and Lord Zedd get transported to another world and dimension. Zack ends up teleported to an unknown city and is still fighting the Putties, but is stopped by a mysterious car, which ends up being Batman himself inside. Zack was teleported to Gotham City. The first issue ends with Batman and the Black Ranger believing each is a villain and trying to defeat each other. The other issues that have been released so far have to do with the rest of the Rangers getting to Gotham and eventually teaming up with the Justice League to defeat evil. Currently, the first 4 issues are available, but in May of this year, Boom Studios announced the cancellation of the series, and the 5th and 6th issues are going to be released in the future. So DC fans and Power Ranger fans will have to wait a little longer for the conclusion of one of the coolest team-ups in the comic book world. This has been Zach Brown with the Mighty Morphin Madness Justice League special. Now back to Nerd Central. Welcome to another episode of Mighty Morphin Madness with me, your host, Zach Brown, where we get to talk about everybody's favorite teenagers with attitude, the Power Rangers.
What do we do?
Teleport to us 5 overbearing and over-emotional humans.
No, not that, not teenagers.
That's correct, Alpha.
I was afraid of that.
This week, I got to talk about another favorite Power Ranger series of mine, and that is Power Rangers Turbo. Power Rangers Turbo debuted on March 28th, 1997, with Turbo, a Power Rangers movie, the second feature film of the Power Rangers franchise. In the movie, we see a new villain, the evil queen of space pirates, Divatox, trying to revive an evil demon to try to take over the world. Zordon gives the Zeo Rangers new turbo powers to help defeat evil. The then Blue Ranger Rocky gets injured during karate practice and is replaced by a young kid named Justin, making him the first kid to become a Power Ranger.
Mountain Blaster Turbo Power!
This season was the first also to have a transfer of the Power Ranger powers to 4 new teenagers mid-season. The Red Ranger Tommy giving his powers to TJ, Adam the Green Ranger giving the powers to Carlos, Tanya the Yellow Ranger giving the powers to Ashley, and finally Catherine the Pink Ranger giving the powers to Cassie. The 4 new Rangers and the Blue Ranger Justin continue to fight Divatox until Zordon is kidnapped and their powers get destroyed at the beginning episodes of Power Rangers in Space, which I talked about in a past episode.
Bye-bye, Ranger.
This season was also the first to have a new mentor. Zordon and Alpha 5 leave for their home planet of Eltar to be back with their family. Zordon recruits his long-term friend, Demetria, and Alpha 6, the next generation of robots, to guide the Rangers. Alpha 6 at first was voiced to be a hip robot with even weirder catchphrases, but with a negative response from fans, they started to ease back on the weirdness, which I was glad.
Yo, what you talking about alone? What am I, invisible?
Overall, the series was a fun watch, with some good elements that continued into the other series. The addition of new teenagers getting the powers mid-season was also a fun and interesting twist no other season has replicated. For Mighty Morphin Madness, this has been Zach Brown. Stay tuned for more Nerd Central after the break. Welcome to another exciting season of Mighty Morphin Madness with me, your host, Zach Brown, where we get to talk about everybody's favorite teenagers with attitude, the Power Rangers.
What is that odious stench? Smells like teenagers.
To start off the new season, I want to talk about another favorite season of mine, and that is Power Rangers Ninja Storm. Power Rangers Ninja Storm debuted on February 14th, 2003, and it was the first Power Ranger season to fully air on Disney's ABC Family program after the purchase of the Fox Kids franchise by Disney. The series follows three teenagers who train at the Ninja Academy and are forced to become Power Rangers after the evil Ninja Master Lothar captures all the other ninja students.
Trash them all! Now, Subo. Goodbye, Wind Ninja Academy! I can't feel a thing! Where are we, man?
Lothar, the season's villain, was one of my personal favorites because he added humor to make the show have the same feel as the original series.
This is the most fun I've had all season!
The Rangers' mentor in the season was their sensei, but during the attack by Lothar, he is changed into a CGI guinea pig, which is one of my personal favorite mentors the Rangers ever had.
I like him though, huh? I mean, except for the clothes. My father is not a rat. He's a guinea pig.
This season also had the addition of 3 more Power Rangers, including the brothers Hunter and Blake, the Thunder Rangers, and Cam the Green Ranger, who is the son of the now guinea pig sensei. The season ends as the Rangers send Lothar and his minions back to the abyss of evil. This season of Power Rangers had a lot of firsts, including the first season to start with 3 Rangers. Eventually they did end up with the normal 6, and also it was the first season not to feature a pink or white Ranger. For Mighty Morphin Madness, this has been Zach Brown. Now back to Nerd Central.
Shame. Thunderstorm! Full power! Let's go! The agony of defeat!
Welcome to another episode of Mighty Morphin Madness with me, your host, Zach Brown, where we get to talk about everybody's favorite teenagers with attitude, the Power Rangers.
What is that odious stench? Smells like teenagers.
In this episode, I'm going to be talking about another favorite season of mine, and that is Power Rangers Lightspeed Rescue. Power Rangers Lightspeed Rescue debuted on Fox Kids on February 12th, 2000, and it was the 8th season in the Power Rangers franchise. Unlike the seasons before it, this team of Power Rangers were adults that already had careers, and were selected because of their set of skills by the government organization called Lightspeed. The Power Rangers selected were Carter Grayson, a firefighter from the local fire department, Chad Lee, a local lifeguard and marine animal trainer, Joel Rollins, a stunt pilot, Kelsey Winslow, an extreme sports athlete, and finally Dana Mitchell, who was a nurse, and the daughter of the captain of the Lightspeed organization, Captain Mitchell. Instead of evil space villains like the seasons before it, the villains of this season were evil demons that threatened to take over the city. The city was built on top of an ancient demon burial ground, so that's why they were trying to take over the city. This series of Power Rangers is also the first time that Power Ranger powers and Zords were man-made, and they didn't have any mystic origins like the seasons before it.
Power Rangers? All right.
This season also focused on saving the city and civilians more than previous seasons, I felt. The Zords on multiple occasions were used to help people out of the buildings the demons were destroying, something that we didn't see much in the other seasons. The season debuted the 6th Ranger like all the other seasons do, which was a Titanium Ranger, and was revealed later to be the captain's son, Ryan Mitchell, who was thought to be dead.
Ryan?
Look who we have here! It's the traitor!
Still playing games, huh?
This is no game. Titanium power!
What separates the 6th Ranger from the others is that the Titanium Ranger was a new Ranger created for the American season. This Ranger was not featured in the Japanese counterpart, Go-Go 5. This has only been done one more time in the Power Rangers franchise, when a new villain was created for the season Power Rangers Mystic Force. Overall, I really did like the season because it was a refreshing change in the Power Rangers franchise, and the season did a lot of different things, like having the Rangers' identities known from the public from day one, which no other season has really done up to this point, and the Rangers not being high schoolers, which was different. This has been Zach Brown for Mighty Morphin Madness. Now back to Nerd Central. Welcome to another episode of Mighty Morphin Madness with me, your host, Zach Brown, where we get to talk about everybody's favorite teenagers with attitude, the Power Rangers.
What is that odious stench? Smells like teenagers.
In this special episode of Mighty Morphin Madness, I sat down and interviewed Court Jensen, a member of Nerdmageddon and a fellow Power Rangers lover. I first asked Court how he was introduced to the Power Rangers.
I got introduced to Power Rangers back when it, probably 93 or 94 when it originally aired. I was about 11-ish, something like that. It was whatever channel it happened to be on, it was very, very early on, like early in the morning. I had to get up. It was like a arduous journey to watch Power Rangers. I had like sleep in my eye, but I was going to get up. I was determined to see this show that I had heard about, that I was very curious about, and so I was going to soldier through it, and I was going to get up at 5 or 6 or whenever it was on.
I then asked what some of his first reactions to the show were.
I grew up loving like Jackie Chan, early Jackie Chan movies, Bruce Lee movies, and then the Godzilla movies, the Kaiju Godzilla movies. I grew up watching them, and this was like an amalgamation of like all of those. It was everything I loved from my childhood, like Voltron, Transformers, ninja stuff. It was all thrown in the show, and my first reaction was, wow, it was crazy. And then I had like the acting's, yeah, it's different. So it's like, but it was good for the time. It was like I was into the TGIF like shows like Family Matters and Full House, so they had a bit of cheese to them, so it like fit with that kind of niche that I liked. So yeah.
I also asked if he, as a kid, had any Power Rangers toys or merchandise.
Yeah, the neighborhood kids were also equally involved in Power Rangers and watching it together. We had all the dinosaurs all the Zords to transform into Megazord. We had kind of the life-size weapons, the flute, and just the Megazords, and like all the action figures. We had a sticker book. And so we'd go to this place called Ventures. It's kind of like a Target, and we'd get these sticker packs, and we'd like put them on there, and they would tell a story or something. I can't remember, but I just knew we collected all this stuff, and each of the neighborhood kids had their own like toys that they would bring. We didn't have them all, like nobody had like all of them together, so we had to join forces just like the Power Rangers.
Finally, I asked his opinion on last year's Power Rangers movie.
Yeah, last year's Power Rangers. I didn't initially get to see it at the movie theater, but I did watch it, and it was cool. I was surprised. They did a good job, I thought. It didn't get enough love that it deserved, but even on like major geek websites, they counted it as kind of an underdog movie that surprised a lot of people. It was done. It had its problems. Yeah, Goldar was a giant piece of gold. I would have liked him to look better. I would have liked the Zords to maybe look better, but I initially heard about Bryan Cranston. That is awesome. And then I heard about like Alpha 5 being voiced by SNL's Bill Hader, and I thought that was perfect. And just the edginess, the Breakfast Club-esque world that they developed, I thought was really cool.
This has been Mighty Morphin Madness. Now back to Nerd Central.
Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, too hot to handle.
Welcome to another episode of Mighty Morphin Madness with me, your host, Zach Brown, where we get to talk about everybody's favorite teenagers with attitude, the Power Rangers.
What is that odious stench? Smells like teenagers.
In this episode, I'm going to talk about the first Power Rangers movie, and that was The Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, the movie. Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, the movie premiered in theaters on June 30th, 1995, and it was distributed by 20th Century Fox. The movie follows the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers as they fight the new villain Ivan Ooze. After a giant egg was discovered under a construction site, Rita and Zed release what it is in it, which was Ivan Ooze, who was sealed away by Zordon 6,000 years before the film. Ivan Ooze was a very interesting villain. He was most liked for his one-liners throughout the film. He was portrayed to be a funny yet menacing villain.
We're the Power Rangers.
Woo! Where's my autograph book? Ah! Power Rangers,
Ivan Ooze was played by actor Paul Freeman, who is a classically trained British actor with many performances with the Royal Shakespeare Company. A very interesting choice for a superhero villain in a kids' movie. Ivan Ooze's main plan is to brainwash all the adults in Angel Grove with his ooze, so they can be his slave labor force to help him dig out his weapons Zordon buried along with him. After Ivan Ooze attacks the command center, the Rangers lose their powers and have to travel to the planet of Phaedos to find the new ninja powers called Ninjetti. They return to Earth with their new powers and destroy Ivan Ooze and his weapons so the Angel Grove adults digged out.
Oh no.
The movie soundtrack featured a song from Van Halen with new singer Sammy Hagar, and this movie helped revitalize the band's career by introducing the band to a younger audience. The movie itself made over $40 million at the box office, but was generally panned by critics and fans alike because of its lack of a good story and the special effects that were perceived as very fake. The one bright spot of the movie was Paul Freeman's performance as Ivan Ooze. Overall, when I first watched this, I loved it. The action was good, and Ivan Ooze was a great villain. And also having a good soundtrack with Van Halen on it also was a good addition. This has been Zach Brown from Mighty Morphin Madness, and now back to Nerd Central. Welcome to another episode of Mighty Morphin Madness with me, your host Zach Brown, where we get to talk about everybody's favorite teenagers with attitude, the Power Rangers.
What is that odious stench? Smells like teenagers.
In this episode, I want to talk about another favorite Power Ranger series of mine, and that is Power Rangers Dino Thunder. Power Rangers Dino Thunder debuted on February 14th, 2004, and it was the 12th season of the Power Rangers. The season started with 3 Rangers, Connor McKnight, the Red Dino Ranger, Ethan James, the Blue Dino Ranger, and Kira Ford, the Yellow Dino Ranger. The 3 meet in detention, with the teacher in detention being the one and only Tommy Oliver. Actor Jason David Frank made his long-awaited return as Tommy Oliver to the Power Rangers after an 8-year layoff. Tommy Oliver is now a professor that specializes in paleontology and a science teacher at the high school. The 3 students find the Dino Gems and with the help of their mentor Dr. Tommy Oliver, become the Dino Rangers to try and stop mutant dinosaur-like beings from trying to turn Earth back to the dinosaur era. Along the way they get help from the White Dino Ranger and Trent Mercer, the adopted son of multi-billionaire Anton Mercer, who is the main villain who turns into a dinosaur-human mixture in the evil Mesogog.
Who are you?
I am Mesogog.
And Dr. Tommy Oliver becomes the Black Dino Ranger, the 5th time he has become a Ranger.
Aren't you a little old for this, Tommy?
I may be old, but I can still pull it off. Dino Thunder, power up!
Power Rangers Dino Thunder was the 2nd season to have the dinosaur theme, the first, of course, being Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, and the most recent being Power Rangers Dino Charge in 2015. Power Rangers Dino Thunder was also one of the few seasons with 5 Rangers compared to the normal 6. Compare that to Power Rangers Dino Charge, that had a record of 9 Power Rangers, which even for me was a little overkill. Overall, the series is loved by fans like me because it goes back to the roots of the original show with the dinosaur theme and the return of the most beloved Power Ranger of all time, Tommy Oliver. This has been Zach Brown from Mighty Morphin Madness. Now back to Nerd Central. Welcome to another episode of Mighty Morphin Madness with me, your host, Zach Brown, where we're going to talk about everybody's favorite teenagers with attitude, the Power Rangers.
What is that odious stench? Smells like teenagers.
With Power Rangers being so successful, there has been some shows that it has influenced, and one of those shows was VR Troopers. VR Troopers debuted on Fox Kids on September 3rd, 1994, the same channel as the Power Rangers. VR Troopers was created by Power Rangers creator Ham Saban and Saban Entertainment. The show was made to try and profit and capitalize on the Power Rangers craze and the fascination of virtual reality in the 90s. The show was about 3 young adults, Ryan Steele, Caitlin Starr, and J.B. Reese. They discover a laboratory that was Ryan's dad's, and discover Ryan's dad and his friend Professor Hart created advanced virtual reality and discovered a virtual reality universe. The 3 young adults become VR Troopers with the help of a digital version of Professor Hart to try and stop an evil villain named Grimlord who is trying to bring his virtual reality army into the real world. Grimlord in the real world is an industrial billionaire named Carl Zictor, and he wants to control the entire planet as well as the virtual world.
Virtual warriors, assemble!
The VR Troopers have to protect both sides of the virtual world to try and save it from Grimlord. VR Troopers lasted 2 seasons with a total of 92 episodes and created a toy line and video game for the Sega systems. Though the show was a success, it could not beat the popularity of the Power Rangers. Like the Power Rangers, VR Troopers used footage from a Japanese TV show. This time it was the Metal Hero series. The show only lasted 92 episodes because the VR Troopers used all the footage they could from Metal Hero, even using the same footage multiple times in different episodes. The show was one of the first to mix early CGI and video effects with the Japanese footage. Overall, VR Troopers is considered the first sister series to the Power Rangers, with the other one being the Big Bad Beetleborgs, which will be covered in another episode. Both seasons of VR Troopers are currently available for streaming on Netflix. This has been Zach Brown from Mighty Morphin Madness. Now back to Nerd Central. Welcome to another episode of Mighty Morphin Madness with me, your host, Zach Brown, where we're going to talk about everybody's favorite teenagers with attitude, the Power Rangers.
What is that odious stench? Smells like teenagers.
Since we talked about a Power Rangers sister series a couple weeks ago, I felt it was time for another main one, and that was Big Bad Beetleborgs. Big Bad Beetleborgs debuted on Fox Kids on September 7th, 1996. The series lasted 2 seasons and was produced by Ham Saban, the creator of the Power Rangers and VR Troopers. Big Bad Beetleborgs was about 3 kids, Drew, Joe, and Roland. They stumble upon a mansion they believe is haunted. They soon find out the house is haunted with classic horror villains such as a Wolfman, Mummy, and Invisible Man. Also in the house, they find an organ and inside a mystical genie character that was locked away. His name is Flabber. After accidentally releasing him, he gives them one wish, and they wish to become superheroes as the Big Bad Beetleborgs, which is a successful comic book. The kids become the superheroes straight out of the comic. This also would make the Beetleborgs' enemies come alive in the evil Magnivores, with their leader, Vexor, who would summon monsters from the comics to battle the Beetleborgs. The series eventually got 2 more Beetleborgs, with the original 3 met the Beetleborgs comic creator Art Fortunes, and he created 2 more in the comic book, who then would become the 2 characters in real life.
He looks just like the picture!
The second season of the Beetleborgs, entitled Beetleborgs Metallics, shows the 3 kids get new armor and weapons after others get destroyed by the new villain named Nucus that was created by Art Fortune's brother, Les Fortunes, who is in prison.
I am Nucus, Overlord of the Second Dimension.
The series took footage from the Japanese show Metal Hero Jujo B-Fighter. The Metal Hero series was the source footage for the other Saban show in VR Troopers. The series overall was more popular than its sister series, VR Troopers, but again, it couldn't take over the popularity of the Power Rangers. This series was different than other Saban shows, because the powers came out of a comic book, and the powers went to kids instead of teenagers, like the Power Rangers and VR Troopers. Power Rangers also had another sister series in Masked Rider, but only lasted 1 season and was considered a failure, so that's why I haven't mentioned it much. Both seasons of the Beetleborgs are available on Netflix. For Mighty Morphin Madness, this has been Zach Brown. Now back to Nerd Central.
I see him! I see him!
Welcome to another episode of Mighty Morphin Madness with me, your host, Zach Brown, where we're going to talk about everybody's favorite teenagers with attitude, the Power Rangers.
What is that odious stench? Smells like teenagers.
In this episode, I want to talk about the recent Power Rangers movie that was released in 2017. Saban's Power Rangers was released on March 24th, and it is considered a reboot of the popular franchise using the general story and characters of the original Mighty Morphin Power Rangers television series. The film focuses on 5 teenagers: Jason, Billy, Kimberly, Trini, and Zach. Jason, a star football player, gets kicked off a team. He meets Billy and Kimberly in detention. They eventually meet Trini and Zach at a construction site where they originally discovered the 5 power coins. The next morning, they wake to find they have superpowers, and the power coins are linked to them. They go back to the construction site to find some answers, and eventually they stumble on an alien ship buried underground, which houses the original Red Ranger Zordon and his robot assistant Alpha 5.
Joke? We're talking to a wall.
I was kind of expecting a little more.
Zordon informs the teenagers that the evil Rita Repulsa, the original Green Ranger, has come back after killing the original Rangers besides him, and the chosen teenagers have to learn to become a team to become the Power Rangers to take down Rita Repulsa and the monster that she is creating in Goldar. The Rangers eventually learn to become a team and then are allowed to morph into the Power Rangers, and with the help from their Zords, they take down Rita's monster and Goldar and destroy Rita along with it. The movie became notable because it became the first blockbuster film to feature LGBT and autistic superheroes in the form of Trini, the Yellow Ranger, and Billy, the Blue Ranger. The mid-credit scene was a cliffhanger of sorts to set up a potential sequel, with the Rangers in detention and the teacher calling for the name of Tommy Oliver, who in the original series was the evil Green Ranger, who would then become the 6th Ranger of the team.
Tommy Oliver! Tommy Oliver!
The film was considered a box office disappointment, and the potential of a sequel was now up in the air because of the disappointment of the movie. Overall, I wasn't a huge fan of the movie. The movie had some good moments, but overall, the movie did too much different things than the original show, and not in a good way. The movie I felt would have been good if it wasn't a Power Rangers movie, because it lacked some of the important elements that made the show so popular back in the day, and it barely showed the teens and their suits, which can be argued is the main reason behind the Power Rangers. This has been Zach Brown from Mighty Morphin Madness. Now back to Nerd Central.
Just keeps coming! There's too many of them! You guys hold them off!
Where are you going?
Welcome to another episode of Mighty Morphin Madness with me, your host, Zach Brown, where we're going to talk about everybody's favorite teenagers with attitude, the Power Rangers.
What is that odious stench? Smells like teenagers.
In this episode, I'm going to share with you my top 5 Red Rangers. The Red Power Ranger is the main leader for most of the seasons and is a fan favorite. All 25 seasons have had a Red Ranger, so there are many that can't make this top 5 list. Let's start with number 5. TJ Johnson, Red Turbo Ranger, number 2, Power Rangers Turbo. TJ Johnson, a baseball player, became the Red Turbo Ranger after the original Turbo Rangers gave their powers to a new batch of teenagers. His most notable moment came in the episode Trouble by the Slice, where TJ and the Rangers are almost baked into a giant pizza by the Mad Mike Pizza Monster. TJ would also become the Blue Ranger in Power Rangers in Space. TJ was also notable for being the first Black Red Ranger of the entire series. Number 4. Tommy Oliver, Zeo Ranger 5 Red and Red Turbo Ranger. Tommy Oliver, the greatest Power Ranger that ever lived, was 2 different Red Rangers, the only character to do so. In Zeo, he led the team of Rangers to take down the Machine Empire, and in Power Rangers Turbo, he battled Divatox until he gave the powers to number 5 on our list, TJ. Tommy is number 4 on the list because even though he is the greatest Power Ranger, his time as the Red Ranger is considered the least notable. Number 3, Leo Corbett, Red Galaxy Ranger, Power Rangers Lost Galaxy. Leo was the Red Ranger that led the Galaxy Rangers to defeating the evil villain Trakina and saving the colony planet Terra Venture. After his brother Mike pulled the red Quasar Saber from the rock, he was attacked and fell into a pit. Leo had to become the Red Ranger and at first was not trusted but gained the trust of his team of Rangers eventually. His brother did eventually return as the Magna Defender, and the brothers got to work together to save the galaxy. Number 2, Jason Scott, Mighty Morphin Red Ranger, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. The original Red Ranger, who led the original teenagers with attitude in fighting the evil Rita Repulsa and later Lord Zed. Jason Scott was the original face and leader of the Power Rangers with his advanced knowledge of karate, helping him fight the monsters that were thrown at him. Actor Austin St. John left the show in the 2nd season after a contract dispute, and his character gave his powers to the 2nd Red Ranger of the series, Rocky. Jason would return as the Gold Zeo Ranger to help Tommy and the Rangers and Power Rangers Zeo. Jason Scott will always be considered one of the best Power Rangers period because of his strong leadership skills and strong karate skills. Number 1, Andros, Red Space Ranger, Power Rangers in Space. Andros the Red Space Ranger is my all-time favorite. At first, Andros worked alone without a team to try and save Zordon. When the former Turbo Rangers arrived in space, he refused their help, insisting he could do it by himself. He eventually needs help and leads his team to try and save Zordon. Andros' story of him also trying to find his long-lost sister is my favorite story arc in any season. Andros is also very well known for killing Zordon in order to rid the world of evil, something he didn't want to do, but Zordon insisted. Andros will forever be my favorite Red Ranger because of his deep character history and fantastic story arc. This has been Mighty Morphin Madness, now back to Nerd Central.
Alright, yeah! I gotta admit, you did well, rookie.
Welcome to the final episode of Mighty Morphin Madness with your host, Zach Brown, where we get to talk about everybody's favorite teenagers with attitude, the Power Rangers.
What is that odious stench? Smells like teenagers.
In this episode, I want to do a review of Mighty Morphin Madness as a whole. Overall, the show has had a total of 20 episodes and has been on Nerd Central since the beginning. Welcome to the debut episode of Mighty Morphin Madness, where me, your host Zach Brown, talks about everybody's favorite teenagers with attitude, the Power Rangers. During the show, I have covered 10 seasons of the Power Rangers, including my all-time favorites, Power Rangers in Space and Power Rangers Zeo, both major motion pictures and the two sister series to the Power Rangers, VR Troopers and Big Bad Beetleborgs. Also during Mighty Morphin Madness, I have done 2 specials, including the Halloween special and the Justice League and Power Rangers comic book crossover special. In this special episode, I get to talk about the special comic book crossover with the DC Universe and the greatest team of teenage superheroes, the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. I also have done 2 episodes sharing my top 5 Megazords and top 5 Red Power Rangers, with the original Dinozord and the Red Space Ranger being my personal favorites. I also got to interview fellow nerd and member of Nerdmageddon, Court Jensen, about the Power Rangers on an episode in February.
About 11-ish. Something like that. It was whatever channel it happened to be on, it was very, very early on, like early in the morning.
Power Rangers has had a total of 25 seasons, with the 26th season Power Rangers Beast Morphers, which will premiere sometime in the next 2 to 3 years. Mighty Morphin Madness has been a fun show to produce each week, and I will miss making it for KNWT, Channel 8, and Nerd Central. This has been Zach Brown for Mighty Morphin Madness, signing off for the last time. Now back to Nerd Central.